Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Force Pro Sports ZAP Report, concluding day one of Laserforce Internationals 2025. Moving on to day two. I am very excited to be showing you all the stuff I've just compiled. Been up since 5. I kind of woke up at 5, eyes shot open, went to my computer. I've just been looking. I meant for this to be a shorter segment. Like ZAP reports were supposed to be like 10 minutes long in theory, so you could just quickly get the updates. But oh gosh, I can't. Too much to talk about. Too much good stuff to talk about. I just can't do that to myself or you. So you're going to get lots of thoughts from me today. We'll go ahead and we will jump right in with the standings, as we will every day. Now we're kind of getting into what the ZAP report is supposed to look like. So every day we'll come in, we'll look at these standings. Right now we got Brisboom at the top, absolutely dominating the tournament. 2.13 score ratio, the next highest being US East, 1.4-ish. That's almost a full point above. All elims, all wins. No one's even survived a game against them. Absolutely insane. They are heads and shoulders above the rest of the competition, which when you think of the competition, like that's kind of crazy. The BDRL, 20 points, 5 eliminations. They're doing very well this tournament. The US East, 18 points, followed by International Men of Mystery, 12, Laserforce Crew, 12, Loveland Curveballs, 8, Auckland 8, 6, and Olympus, 0. I don't think these aren't the most accurate standings just yet because we haven't played a full round yet. And I could definitely foresee some shifts on the horizon. So these may be a little deceptive at the moment, but these are the standings. Next, I was planning to do a review in the top players at every position. So if you go to top players, unfortunately, they have disabled top players for this event. To go on a very brief tangent, I think this is not a sustainable choice for the community in internationals specifically. If we're planning to become a legitimate sport, we're going to need to have these stats available throughout the week, especially for analysts like myself, and I think I'm potentially going to be the first of many. And also, for coaches and people who are trying to help build the team and objectively use these stats to help the team win. I think the big reason for not showing them right now is honestly, I think it's partially more fun for the community who's actually there playing, and it doesn't work very well for events such as like a duos tournament, where when we had duos, players were like not giving their team lives and just running out on medic trying to farm up a bunch of points. People were shooting down their own teammates so that they could get more points. Like, that's not fun. That kind of stat farming can definitely lessen the experience for people. But in an international setting, I think there's a wise way to use stats and there's an unwise way. A wise way would be to take it as objective information and help make your team better. It might demonstrate, hey, this player has potential in this position that we're not realizing, or we need you to amp up your hit diff. You're getting shot too many times. Which we do have. You can look at individual games. You can calculate all this stuff on your own if you wanted. It's all public information. But there are definitely people who will make decisions for themselves. Like, I'm going to go in and attack the medic because I want a medic hit. And that can definitely hinder a team's performance, but my motto for this would just be, if a player wants to stat chase in an internationals, let them. It's to their own detriment. And if there's anybody that would be proof, not to toot my own horn, but it would be me, I didn't look at stats last year, and then I won MVP by trying to win, by trying to play the game and play selflessly, play my role for whatever the team needed, and I just so happened, and all of our Loveland A team did very well in MVP. So I advocate that we reconsider this choice. And regardless, since a lot of this information is public, I did calculate some things for us anyway. If you click on a team, you're able to find basically the average MVP and average scores. So I did go ahead and pull together our average rankings. I'm just going to go over the top 10 real quick. So coming in at 31 average MVP is Taipan. This is kind of crazy. My record's in jeopardy. It's just that they're so dominant, and Taipan is able to, from the medic position, when you get a high amount of points, that's an easy way to get a really high score on MVP. So that's crazy. Rusty 26, Sharpshooter 22, Glader 21, Brew, the only non Brisbane A player to crack into the top 10 so far, at 21. Screever 21 from BDRL, Simply Okay 20.5, my boy. So we got 3 players from 3 different teams cracking in right about there. And Scythe coming in at 19.2. And we won't continue to go down the list. I'll go ahead, though, and look at the top in each position. I think that's a more fun way to do this. So top commander right now is Taipan. We got 1-2 games out of these guys. So I'm actually going to skip down. We got Basil with 5 commander games at 21. Simply Okay, 9 games, 20.5. And I'll skip down to Twin here. I'm just going to note some people then. If you only have 1 or 2 games, and it often is against a lesser team, that doesn't really actually demonstrate your capacity on Commander that well. So I'm skipping to people who have like maybe 4 or more games at this point. People who are looking like the top heavies right now, you know, Rusty, of course, and Glader on the off games. It seems like he's the go-to heavy. Brew has been killing it on heavy for his team. Screever as well, right behind him. Let's take a look at Scout. Cody actually is doing quite well. I'm gonna freeze this column. Pro tip, everyone, you can freeze a column here, and then looks like Cody actually is right now the MVP Scout, followed by Sharpshooter, Basil with the 3 games, JFK with 8, and Prawn Boy. Prawn Boy has been doing quite well, I've noticed, and Beans with 5. So those are the top scouts at the moment. Let's take a look at Ammo Carrier. We're looking at Rusty, of course, and Glader. They're kind of flipping roles. Fireball DK, as I would expect, and Archdruid has been having quite the showing. Definitely seen him taking lots of shots into the field, and Azra with 14.9, and Stu here with 13. Let's see. And finally, taking a look at the medics. We got Taipan, of course. Sharpshooter seems like potentially the main medic for Brisbane A when they're playing their quote-unquote respect lineup. I like what I think Maniac was saying that in the chat. It's the respect lineup. Donta being the next one up with 17.16. Lucy Dune, I've really liked her play so far, 16.3, and Do Not Pass Go at 15.45. So that kind of rounds out just the general overview of our top players at the moment. Let's get into our game highlights. The game highlight I'm going to highlight is the US West versus US East match that we watched at the start of the tournament. I just thought it was one of the most epic matches I've ever seen. And with the storyline too really helps it. First game of the tournament, East versus West, all these players, and then the storyline about like, you know, old school versus new school type of play. These were great games to watch. So we're just going to look over the scoreboard real quick. US West took the game in the first game on red side. So Simply Okay, I want to highlight with 9 medic hits and a nuke cancel. This was an insane performance by Simply Okay. Definitely you know, not beating up Brew in the hit diff, but got 3 missiles into him, and getting beat up quite a bit by Scythe as well on the hit diff and Beans, but being able to get in on Do Not Pass Go 9 times shows much more of a infiltrative play style as opposed to a hit diff play style. And we gotta look at Fireball DK with the 1.58 hit diff. He was keeping down Scythe, 5 into Beans, 8 and 3 onto Cody. Really great performance by Fireball. And the whole team really held together well in this game. Fear Turkey absorbing a lot of pressure. Let's note, like, these are not the greatest hit diffs except for Fireball DK, but they pull out this game, and they do it essentially by shutting down Do Not Pass Go and getting them out of the game early. It looks like. I mean, I watched this game. It was not just that. Stu had a great performance with a 1.5 hit diff. Both ammos had a really good one. Like Beans breaking in the most on Old Man Thanatos, but on the whole, yeah, this team struggled to really get any one player off the ground in a big way. And Scythe, unfortunately, just having a pretty poor performance in this first game, getting missiled 3 times, only 1 medic hit. Did well against Simply Okay, but outside of that, you know, El Diablo had his number 16-5. I am actually very impressed by that. I didn't notice that 16-5 on Scythe. El Diablo was very responsible for shutting him down. And just out of curiosity as well, we look at Sergeant Tucker, and he was trading pretty even with most people, but this was an incredible game. Definitely was like up cheering, yelling in the middle of my house. My wife was like, "Oh man, your team win!" Like, yeah, they won. Yeah, they won. So I pulled up a clip from this first game. We're just gonna check it out here. Let's see if I can increase to that high res 1080p here for you folks. So we're watching right here, and Simply Okay starts a nuke. You see that the blue team is backtracking right here, but the Fear Turkey was already most of the way across the bridge when it happened. So he's going to hit Cody and Stu, and we can see that Simply Okay, somewhere else on the field, we can't see it, he's going to missile Baden. He's going to reset off of El Diablo, and then he's going to missile him again. And it happens right there. We can kind of see it happened obviously somewhere down on the bottom, so right in this ramp back here. And Rue's trying to do that L-shape runaway that I was talking about. And Simply Okay is still able to get the missile off. So that is just crazy. I'm a huge fan of this play. It shows the coordination of the Men of Mystery. And I'm just so proud of these guys. Oh man, what a way to open the tournament. Now, one, I have to try to make sure I'm not only cheering for people from Loveland. It's hard, you know. I think any of you would know what that feels like to root for people from your home site, but got to give credit to, I'm going to say the other half of this was the All-American Supercharged coming in and pulling out a win in the second game. El Diablo messaged me. It was like, the base. Yep, the base. Got to get your base. Not optional. Not optional in any of these games. Such a close game in the second one. Let's take a look here. So Cody, despite dying out of the game early, didn't leave without leaving his mark on the game. 8K scout game and a 1.5 hit diff. He was an absolute monster this game. Not many medic hits, but he was shutting down Sergeant Tucker quite a bit and Fireball DK. And 26, even though he gave up an entire nuke, 26 into the commander will waste a lot of time. In this one, Brew got a lot more involved, top scoring as the heavy. 5 medic hits, 3 missiles. Absolutely stomped on Simply Okay. Even though Fireball DK and Sergeant Tucker were both trying to bring him down, it wasn't enough to stop him from being pretty dominant in this one. Scythe, 0.65. Still struggling to get off the ground in this one, but trading pretty evenly with the Fear Turkey in the 3 hits. DK and Sergeant Tucker had better hit diffs on him, and Old Man Than doing well. You know, this was a better showing on the stronger side by these guys, and unfortunately, yeah, if El Diablo got the base, it would have been 2 wins for the Men of Mystery. I think we really struggled on hit diff. Simply Okay didn't have a great game. And Fireball DK, though, shining with a 2 hit diff, lots of shots into the midfield, and a 6K ammo game. It's a cheat code. He really is a cheat code. And we have a little highlight from these guys. I want to highlight, this is towards the very end of the game, in the final couple minutes. So I'm going to pull up that 1080 for you guys again. Okay. So final couple minutes, we see Beans has taken over, I believe this is the red tower, and who is that right there? That might have been Brew over there. So you can watch the feed here. Brew is tearing it up in the midfield. Cody takes over the blue resupply zone. Beans is taken out the Fear Turkey, triple tapped him from the red tower. And Fear Turkey tries to come back here to take over the blue resupply spot. Scythe detonates a nuke, and he's forced back into the midfield. And you can hear Fear Turkey saying, "Where are we?" So, and then the Brew is getting missiles off in the midfield. Sergeant Tucker. It's just a wall of red right there. It was a second ago. Blue then makes a comeback, but this was a significant swinging point for the All-American. Having your scouts basically hold the corners of the map and pincer the International Meta Mystery into the middle was game changing. I think they really needed every little bit of momentum swing, and this was a great play by them. So I'm gonna X out a couple of these tabs now that we're there. Okay. The player highlight I want to do is Gaza. I want to highlight Gaza. It would definitely be easy. One, it's easy for me to want to go and just highlight some of the players who I highlighted in previous videos. I'm still very impressed with Simply OK. Brew, I think, is showing his full strength today. You know, Brisboom, anyone on Brisboom, you could sing their praises. I might throw in Prawn Boy. Sabo I wanted to talk about, but, you know, I like also looking for diamonds in the rough and players who are showing well, especially in losing situations. So I didn't really look at too many of Olympus's first few games since they hardly got any practice. But they showed up for the tournament, and this was their final game of the day, or final match of the game against the Loveland Curveballs. And Loveland Curveballs was pretty dominant, but not as dominant as they could have been. They only won by 10K in score, and I've definitely seen better against a team that has never played tag before, or never played Force before. So Gaza, who I made a huge blunder in my my research. Gaza has the 12th most games in the world of Laserforce. He just doesn't play SM5 very much, which is strange to me. But I'm glad he's out trying it. So 7.7 heavy against the Loveland Curveballs, who had some pretty great showings earlier in the day. Let's look at the hit diff. 3 missiles off, trading very well with the other commander, out trading Lizzie Lizard on heavy weapons. Redneck Tech was definitely keeping him down a lot, but it wasn't that much of a disparity. Gaza seems to have a lot of talent. I also took this one, the one where that was a little more of a dominant win. Seemed like there wasn't much ground they were able to hold, but Gaza still came out with both bases would have been 7.4 on heavy and a 0.8 hit diff. I mean, he's doing some major work, and teams can't underestimate this guy or look away from him. 16-7 against Lizzie Lizard this time. Redneck Tech, once again, like, hey, I'm keeping tabs on this guy, 18-5, but thank you for Redneck Tech, because, I mean, if this seems like they might be finding their lineup. Gaza on heavy definitely seems like it might be one of the most stable platforms to build off of. And if they can find a way to let him loose in the field and rely on him outplaying people from that heavy position, they might be able to get, I'm going to say, a win this tournament. Because I'm worried that they're starting so far behind that, you know, I think the 3 teams that they might hope to beat in this tournament might be Loveland Curveballs is what was kind of like the consensus 7th. Laserforce Crew was, you know, our rankings show 7th. And then Auckland A, I'm going to throw in there. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat any of these guys in any game, but if they're going to do it, I think it's going to come on the back of Gaza having a 10 plus K heavy game or 12 plus K commander game. So that's something for them to focus on. But I wanted to highlight Gaza seems to be a real bright spot on that team. Okay, we're going to keep going. Team highlight. You know that I wanted to highlight all 6 of these players when it came to the player highlight and the game highlight. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Loveland Curveballs, right? They had an awesome showing for their first day, considering that the people had them ranked at a 4.2 power ranking coming into this tournament. So first of all, in their final game against the International Men of Mystery, who seemed like one of the top seeded teams and the most coordinated teams, Loveland Curveballs lost by a good 10K, but it was not an elimination. They survived this game, and you can't say that about any team, every team. They definitely shut down Ash in this game. But Sabo has been an incredible bright spot on this team, still getting away with a 1.14 hit diff. 23 to 11 on Simply OK is an amazing score. I've been really impressed with Redneck Tech. This isn't the game quite for him, but still coming away with a positive hit diff. And Azra with the 1.3 hit diff on this game and a 5k ammo game is absolutely nuts. I absolutely love having Azra on this team. She provides such a unique flex and such a innovative defense in the backline. She is so good at defending her resupply and providing the resets. So it seems like on every single player, she had a positive hit diff. Anyone that came to her side of the field. Great game by these guys, considering who you're up against. Yeah, and considering where they are coming from. Let's also take a look at their game against Laserforce Crew. They had 2 games, they lost both of them. But this is the game where, if you watch the game, Loveland Curveballs shoved the Laserforce Crew downstairs. They had control of the whole top floor. Lizzie Lizard died out of the game to a triple nuke. Or was it a double followed by another one? Either way, these are just like little rookie mistakes that you can expect from a team as new as the Loveland Curveballs. But Lizzie Lizard was dominating. This would have been, she would have had 6-2 with her bases. And she died out very early. This could have easily been a 7K game from her. Definitely want to look at the splits. Really heavy on Scraps and Toyota. Not the craziest hit diff, but knowing her priorities and getting 2 medic hits. I was really impressed with RNT getting the 5-6. I've never seen RNT play this well in a tournament. I think he's really gelling well, finding a role for himself. And Ash VD with the 6 medic hits, there was some really synchronized plays with Ash, and I was very impressed. Sabo, of course, doing great. Angel has been a huge blessing to this team. I'm thinking like a guardian angel, like this team really needed a 7th, and she sounds like she's such a positive energy, and she plays very well too. So anyway, these are very experienced and well-coordinated players who had the home field advantage, and Loveland Curveballs was able to make this a really close game. It just really got away from them towards the end. And finally, you think I'm not going to talk about this? You think I didn't want to base my whole episode around this? Let's go Loveland Curveballs. Are you kidding me? Yes! Woo! Loveland Curveballs takes the game off of All-American Supercharged. And we're going to watch a little clip. Ash VD. Oh, man. Sabo with the nearly 10K scout game and a 2.7 hit diff. 31 onto Beans, 26 onto Lenny. Positive on every person. And look at this. Only the 1 medic hit. Sabo knows it's not his role as scout to be solo pushing in. Sabo has been such a support in the midfield. You know who else had a great support in the midfield and 3 medic hits is Redneck Tech with the 75. I've never seen him play this well. I'm so impressed. He is gelling so well with this team. 22 on the 3 hits. So both these scouts are just focusing down the 3 hit, controlling the field. Waffle Raptor playing it's not the most impressive game, but if you watch, this is what I'm talking about with stat chasing. Waffle Raptor is not about the stats, he's about winning. And he absorbed so much pressure. 41 from Scythe, yeah, but his team won. And he protected Liz for a very long time. This was insane. And I'm just so impressed with all of them. This was such a fun game to watch, and we're going to watch a little bit. We do need to honor, it was a great game from Beans and Scythe. And I'm not going to discount that because apparently you can't deny that Loveland Curveballs has juice if they can do something like this. You can't treat them as oh yeah, Beans beat up a bad team. Okay, you can't say that anymore. You really can't. And I really think Supercharged underestimated Loveland Curveballs here. I think everyone would agree it would have been a pretty humbling experience. Doing that to the heavy, Beans has always been very good at breaking in and the 6 medic hits. So that's kind of a Beans classic, kind of like that, just being able to push in and break through a defense. Scythe aiding him, really helpful. 41 hits onto the heavy, so I can see how they were working in tandem. But yeah, at the end of the and Stu with the 0.67 hit diff. I think Stu has been a real backbone and leader on this team. I've really liked Stu and I've liked his play. But we're gonna watch a little clip here. So let's check this out. Let me get you that HD. I just want to show a highlight here. So something you can see. One, we're going to see a kind of a thwarted attack over here on the blue side, and then we're going to see a successful attack over on the red. So we got Sabo downstairs destroying the base. Okay, Beans tags down Waffle Raptor. So Beans is coming in across the bridge. Waffle Raptor tries to go across to make a trail. Beans is in too quickly. Azra puts one into him. Scythe puts one into Beans and literally tags him down. He puts two into Beans. You gotta expect better play. Like like Beans was about to break in. He had everyone down. He had two shields, and the medic was the only one alive. Beans would have got them. That play sabotaged Beans. So Scythe does then try to make up some of the effort. You know, they triple tap Waffle Raptor, 3-1 hits all at once. That's pretty cool. Like that's good coordination out of them. Okay. Liz tags Beans. Beans is in. He's just kind of standing there. And then they tag down Waffle Raptor. We can see right over here, I believe this is Ash Commander, and Disco Stu is left completely alone up in the red tower. I believe that's called. If I'm saying that wrong, please let me know. Right? Ash is able to tag down Stu, and then he's able to get a reset. Looking out into the field, they're able to find Tomik and tag them for a reset. Waffle Raptor's down again, unfortunately. So Beans has absolutely broken in over here. But here comes the nuke from Ash right there in the tower. So Beans would have broken in and taken over this whole area, as well as Scythe right there. And then we're going to see that, I believe we see... No, they're all downstairs. They're just going on a base run. So you know what? I remember watching this back, and I thought the attack was more thwarted. It was definitely more like they thwarted themselves a little bit. But Ash being able to take over that, it's kind of a flip. And you see, instead of being stubborn and fighting back for this area while the commander and scout were in here, the blue team just goes for a base run. And that secures Lizzie's base on 2 lives left. And it works out pretty well for them. So I just appreciate the flexibility this team has. They're not playing at a very, like only a basic level. Okay, awesome. That is the team highlights. We are going to look at my favorite storyline. So my favorite storyline would be somewhat old school versus new school. This was a discussion that Kodama and I began to have on our rankings show. It's just the idea that there's kind of an old meta and a new meta, a way of playing that would win you tournaments back in 2005 or 2015, and now 2025. Like in each of those stages of Laserforce, we saw different metas, and that happens with any game. You know, any game like this, online video games, in football, you see it. Like teams, what wins you games kind of shifts and counters each other over time. So certainly whatever's happening right now, know that in 2035, this is going to be considered old school. But what I'm saying is, like, right now, we got all these teams, and some of them, you might call them a little more modern of an offense or a defense or a team than others. And the idea is, like, what's winning right now? What's working right now? You could definitely make a case that, like, All-American Supercharged, Laserforce Crew, Auckland A are powered by kind of older philosophies, whereas teams like Loveland Curveballs and the Meta Mystery are more like new age. As far as like what philosophies are they taking, there are newer and older players on all these teams. And in my personal opinion, I think a lot of our new philosophy has come from understanding things that Brisboom has understood for a very long time, or at least Rusty and Taipan have understood for a very long time. Some of us are starting to catch up. And if I were to I tried to like, how do I summarize new school, the new meta? I think if I were to summarize it, I'd say that every position now has a larger job description and more jobs are shared amongst a variety of roles, right? So one for example might be like old school thinking. It might be more like the heavy is responsible for defending the medic. New school thinking might be more like the heavy is 35 to 40% responsible. Your scouts are 15 to 20%. Your ammo is 30 to 40% responsible, and the medic themselves are like 20 to 30%. That didn't add up to 100. I'm just trying to say, like, nowadays you see players doing a lot more. They're flexing out to do more things with their positions than just what their strict one-dimensional job is. We see a lot more two-dimensional or three-dimensional jobs happening. So I don't know how it's gonna work, and I would definitely be interested to see if some of these teams begin to adopt newer philosophies or different philosophies from each other as we play. Okay, the game to watch today. Let's go to the schedule. The game to watch today, I'm calling it Loveland Curveballs versus Auckland. Yesterday, the match to watch was US West versus US East. That was a great game, and it definitely made it very unclear who's better. It was so close. This one, I'm going to say Loveland Curveballs versus Auckland, and I think it would have been insulting to say this is a close game before the tournament began. People were very high on Auckland. Kodama put them in third. The community put them in fifth, well above Loveland in seventh. But I said on the... I think I officially regret not putting Loveland fifth in the prediction show. I wasn't brave enough, and I gave a lot of credit to Auckland for their experience and talent. But the truth is that they are in grave question mark territory right now. The game against Laserforce Crew, Auckland beat Laserforce Crew, and the Crew beat the Curveballs. So, case in point, you're probably going to be thinking Auckland's just going to beat Loveland. I don't think that's the case. I'm betting Loveland wins at least one of these games. So that's the game I think to watch, because it will make it pretty definitive if Auckland is in that tier above Loveland, or if we have this third tier with kind of like Laserforce Crew, Curveballs, and Auckland down below the top teams that we need to watch out for. My closer than expected prediction yesterday, my prediction did not come true. Brisbane pretty much rolled BDRL in both games. So I don't know if I'm going to touch Brisbane for the most part. Like, they are so dominant. I think it would only be hot takey to try to predict them winning something, or predict Brisbane losing or having a close game at this point. Maybe I'll come back on Wednesday, Thursday. But the game I'm saying, closer than you think, I bet the game between Laserforce Crew and All-American Supercharged is going to be closer than people expect. I'm thinking the consensus right now is that All-American is going to pretty easily dominate Laserforce Crew, especially if they get themselves with their main lineup. But I think the Crew has proven that they are a very sturdy team. They're tough to break. They have great zone control. I've been really impressed with Jeff Pex. She keeps triple tapping 3 hits and just always being behind people. I think her positioning has been really good. So there's definitely great talent on the Laserforce Crew, and I think it's going to be kind of a drag out fight that might last the whole 15. And I'm adding a section. To this. I wanted to do this yesterday. I decided to go for it today. To conclude the ZAP report, we are going to re-rank the teams. So obviously I don't get credit for... Like, if I keep changing my mind, obviously, like, there's less and less credit for making the prediction accurate as opposed to calling it originally. So here's my original ranking, and here's my post-day 1 ranking. I'm moving International Men of Mystery up above All-American Supercharged. I'm joining Team Kodama. I'm believing. I think the biggest reason is, one, I think the talent gap has officially closed. The question marks on International Men of Mystery have proven themselves to me that they are now up there with the greats. I think Simply OK has shown he can be a top tier commander in the worldwide scene. I think Sergeant Tucker has proven he can be a top tier scout in the worldwide scene. El Diablo has proven he can be a top tier scout in the worldwide scene. And remember, this is not about individual rankings. Sergeant Tucker, El Diablo, Simply OK in a vacuum do not necessarily equal what they're doing here in this tournament. But that doesn't matter. It's a team game. And International Men of Mystery are playing in such an innovative and coordinated way, and they're taking the tournament so seriously that I believe now, I believe they're going to beat the All-American team in finals. And as for the All-American team, I'm partially knocking them down based on their own blundering. I mean, the fact that there are two things that cause me to be frustrated with this team. One, they had like, I think 2 practice games on Sunday. And when they faced off against Brisbane, they put out kind of like a subpar lineup, and they took Scythe out of the lineup, I'm pretty sure. Which really frustrated me. Like, if you want to be the number 2 seed in this tournament, you should put out your full lineup and try to beat Brisbane. Who better to learn from? It almost indicates to me they don't believe they're good enough to even have a chance. And then for them to roll out a lineup where they take Baden off the field against the level and curveballs, I think shows quite a bit of hubris and not taking the tournament as seriously as they should. Maybe he needed a rest. I don't know. But they slept on the wrong team, and I'm just worried they're not living up to their potential. They're not going to. I still think they could take second for sure. But like, can you pay the price? Can you want it bad enough, right? Wanting it bad enough means like, instead of going out for I don't want to say that because it like makes assumptions. I'm not even there. I don't know. I'm just saying for people in general, like, if you want to win this tournament, you have to give up time to hang out with friends, to spend more time talking about strategy. You got to not stay up late. You got to have gotten in shape before the tournament. You got to show up, and when you play these games, take each one with a lot of respect for the team in front of you. Even like a game against Olympus, like, are you just going to goof around, or are you going to try out some things that you could potentially use later? Are you going to use the opportunity, every opportunity you have, to grow? There's my rant. I still think BDRL is going to be 4th. I know they're 2nd seed right now, but I also think that these teams are all going to get better as we go. And I still worry a little bit about their fundamentals. I think they've shown they're very coordinated, but I need to see them win out in some more difficult situations. Come back in a game, in a sense that takes a lot of their macro game before I'll move them up. And I'm gonna predict that level and curveballs comes in because I just think comes in at 5th because I just think they're gonna be dominant. I just think they have the talent. I think they have the desire. I think they're new school thinking enough. If I know them, they are getting advice. They're soaking up every single ref game. And I wonder if they're going to be able to just be a better modern team than Auckland A. I need Auckland A to prove themselves to me a bit. I'd love to see a little more innovative play from them. I'd love to see more, if it's Leech heavy, I'd love to see Leech attacking more on the heavy roll. I'd love to see more synchronized attacks. I almost never see their team breaking into the enemy resupply from what I'm watching, which I know they have some really good offensive players. It'd be up to them to maybe like go back to the drawing board and say, hey, do we just need to practice this lineup more? Or are we off the mark? Are we not using our resources in the best way? Are we not trying to win through the best win conditions, you know? And I'd be very interested to see what Essence and Know-It-All have to say. Just being very talented, newer, fresher eyes on the scene. Like, I wonder if they could be looking at these other teams and having some new ideas that which Auckland hasn't seen before. The Laserforce crew is playing is playing really well compared to expectations, but I'm expecting growth from the curveballs and Aucklands that I'm not expecting from the Laserforce crew. And I still worry about that whole carry thing. Like Scraps and Sexy Meow have shown that like they can definitely do that high hit diff. They can find the right angles. They can even break into some teams. But I'm worried. And I at this point, I'm a little worried that Olympus isn't going to actually win a game this tournament. I really wish they were here on the practice night. And they just might be too, even if they start growing rapidly. And we are seeing that. Like Gaza, I've even seen some improvements with like Dart and Wildcard. There's potential, and they could explode over the next couple days in terms of like getting closer and closer and closer, making games more and more even. Day 4 is when you're really going to want to look at them, but they're really far behind right now, and I don't think they're gonna come out of 8th. Okay, that concludes the ZAP report. Good luck to all the teams. Thanks for giving us something amazing to watch. I very much am enjoying the stream, very much enjoying the tournament. You guys are all amazing. This is some of the most high-level play I've ever seen of Space Marines 5. Good luck out there. See you tomorrow.